What's up everybody, Joe here from Mainline Overland. Today we got this Sprinter van build all wrapped up. We do a lot of Sprinter builds here at our shops, but rarely do we get the chance to install 35s on these. So it's very exciting for us. So let's dive in and show you everything we had to do to get these big meaty rubbers to fit. So before we dive into how we fit these 35-inch tires, let's quickly run through all the front end upgrades on the Sprinter van. So starting here, we installed the CaTuned front bumper. This is definitely one of our favorite choices out there for Sprinter vans. This bumper has integrated recovery points here up front, has a nice tube here so we can mount lights such as these LP9 lights from Baja Designs. It also provides us an area to mount the winch. This is a Warn 12S VR model. It's got plenty of pulling power to pull this van out of any sticky situations. Some other nice features on this bumper is that it's a pretty OEM kind of plus look. It's not this big ostentatious front bumper. It kind of blends into the front look of the Sprinter, but still provides you with all those added accessories you're looking for, such as the recovery points, winch mount, stuff like that. And since this customer does run a front plate, we installed a flip up plate here, so you can still have access into your winch cable there. This winch does also have a front hitch receiver, so you could carry around a bike rack. You could also use it as another recovery point. So we just like to see that front hitch mount on such a heavy vehicle. For some additional lighting upgrades, we installed Baja Designs SAE fog lights here. So SAE means they are DOT legal, so you're able to run these on the street. Vast majority of other light manufacturers out there do not produce a street legal version. So that's why we are a big fan of Baja Designs, because they went through the time, did a lot of testing to get these street legal. So this is a must-have upgrade, I would say, for no matter what you drive. And last lighting upgrade, we went with Baja Designs ditch lights up here. You get a ton of out front light from this light setup, but with these on here, you're gonna be able to cast out kind of into the woods, off into the shadows, just providing you some even more lighting. In order to fit 35s, there's a lot of kind of small modifications and little tweaks and cuts, but the biggest modification is to the actual suspension. To achieve this much lift out of the van, we turn to the VanCompass 6.3 suspension kit. I'll break down what that means here, kind of the different stages. So the 4.3 kit comes with the standard Falcon shocks that are adjustable rebound and compression. That 6.3 adds in a 2-inch subframe spacer. So you're really getting that extra lift and tire clearance from that 2-inch spacer in there. The standard 4.3 VanCompass kit, you're getting the upgraded shocks, upgraded ride control, a little bit lift out of the rear, but you're really not getting that much lift overall in the van. To ensure we had no rubbing here in the front, we did have to break out the body saw and make a few little cuts. So first we installed the Terrawagon no rub fender flare. So this little piece here is actually an aftermarket piece from Terrawagon. It involves cutting the pinch weld in here and kind of bending it back, and it moves this back a good amount so we don't have any rubbing on the door side here. And then up front, we did have to radius the factory front bumper a little bit. With that minor cut, we have no rubbing front or rear. So let's hop in the van, turn this lock to lock, and show you that it does not rub. Taking a look at the wheel and tire package, we went with Agile's Overland wheel here. So this is a really good looking wheel in my opinion. It has over a 4,000 pound load rating. With a big heavy van like this, we wanted to make sure we had a super strong, tough wheel, and this right here was the answer. And the 35s we went with were Nitto Ridge Grapplers. So this is a more aggressive kind of all-terrain. I would say it's a hybrid tire. So you're still gonna get nice on-road performance, and it's not gonna be super loud, but out there on the trails, it's still gonna perform really well. Another cool feature that I really like we did on this van was the Apex valve stems. So if you haven't seen these before, it's basically an upgraded valve stem here that has basically a switch. And it's basically gonna remove that valve core so you can air down super quick. So we're gonna pull this here and you're gonna hear how much the air rushes out of here. So yeah, pretty quick. You can go from street pressure to off-road pressure, and running 35s, that's a really nice feature. The customer's goal with this van was to make it as off-road capable as possible. So the first thing we did, adding the 35s, that added a ton of capability out of the box. We also upgraded to Agile's air locker in the rear. So this van has a ton of ground clearance, ton of capability, and as long as you could fit down the trail, this thing will probably make it through. Speaking of trails, this van got a full skid plate system to ensure he is nice and protected out there running tougher trails. So the rear setup for the VanCompass 6.3 suspension kit includes a lift block in the rear as well as a add-a-leaf on the leaf spring. So those are kind of the two main proponents getting us that extra lift in the rear. The add-a-leaf is giving us a little bit of extra load carrying capabilities, which is nice. Currently this van is not built out on the inside, but the customer has plans to. So we kind of future-proofed it for him and he's ready to go on that side of things. The 6.3 kit also includes the same adjustable Falcon shock here in the rear. We did make some extra upgrades, including this upper shock mounting bracket, as well as a lower shock mounting bracket. So it's just a little bit beefier setup, especially running the 35s. They do add a little bit more wear and tear on your vehicle. So we wanted to make sure we included those supporting upgrades when doing a build with 35s like this. Well, you can dive in here and show you how easy it is to adjust this shock. The big red lever here is for your big adjustments. Right now it's in the 2 setting, which is kind of like on the street. You can go to 3, which is going to stiffen it up even more, or if you go to 1, it's going to make it super soft, good for off-road use. And this little dial here is kind of just fine-tuning your ride quality. So it's super nice to have all this adjustment here right on the shock. It's really nice if you have the van all loaded up, you can kind of stiffen up the suspension. If you're rolling around unloaded, you can kind of soften it up, make it a little more comfortable. So this setup really allows you to dial in how you want the van to feel when you're driving around. We once again had to break out the body saw here on the rear to clear up some rubbing. So we use VanCompass's big tire mud flap kit. So this kit requires you to cut a little notch into this rear kind of portion of the body. They have a nice bracket system that allows you to reuse the factory mud flap. So to the naked eye, most people would not even realize that we had to make a cut here, and that's really the point of this whole kit. Taking a look at the rear upgrades, we went with the tried and true Alvan's ladder tire carry here. So this allows us to mount a full-size spare here on the back without any issues. It clears up the room underneath the van for some additional upgrades, which we'll get into here in a second. And then on the other side, we went with the B2 bike carrier. We installed a monster box on this one. There's a lot of different setups you could do. You could do a smaller box with a bike rack. This customer wanted as much storage as they could get, so we went with the monster box. So the monster box is really huge storage box here. It's pretty cool how it opens. You turn these 2 handles, and this whole top latch actually lifts up. And then there's a little lever release here on the inside, and this flips down. It actually gives you a nice kind of additional table outside. There's a shelf inside this box. This just gives you a ton of storage for items you don't want to keep inside your van. This van also got a lot of upgrades underneath, including S&B's 45-gallon fuel tank. So that's a main replacement tank, ripping out your old factory one and upgrading it to a 45-gallon. It is a 45-gallon because this is a 2023 Sprinter. On the 2019 Plus, I believe that's going to a 47. So the way this is designed, they had to make a few tweaks underneath. But this customer also got the Agile 28-gallon tank here in the spare location. So combined, this van is able to carry 73 gallons of fuel, which is crazy impressive. Usually the Agile tank isn't combined with the S&B, but in this case, the customer wanted as much range as possible, so we made it happen. Thanks everybody for watching. If you want to fit 35s on your Sprinter van, go ahead and reach out to us. All of our contact info can be found down below.